Good morning, everybody. Natalie coming to you live, Spirit and Coffee. Got my coffee here. Mm. Yum, 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 yum. There we go. Okay. Good morning, Matt. Matt Orlando Ryan Jr. Good morning to you. Thank you for the love. Okay, so I'm starting to see these little medals show up, but that's kind of cool. Okay, so we are going to get back into the four agreements. Oops, there goes the paper. And now we are on the third agreement, which is like, don't make assumptions. And sort of follows not to take anything personal. So it's kind of hard. It's like, first you don't take it personal, now you gotta not make assumptions. What are we supposed to do? Really, the reality is it's just telling us to focus back on ourselves, know who we are, understand what we are, get clear with ourselves. And as we get clear with ourselves, we begin not to take things personally, and we also stop making assumptions. Why? Because we continue on with our life. We don't need to, at least, or you look to get clarity from the other person. So it's one or the other. Good morning to me. It's you move on. You have clarity in your life, so you don't need to rehash it. You know who you are and you understand your intentions. On the other spectrum, it's like, okay, maybe we do have assumptions, but because we know who we are, we have the clarity that we need in order to engage a conversation that's going to be meaningful, that's going to cause resolution, that's going to rebalance the harmony in I would say, not just the relationship, but within you. So it's there to balance your harmony. Now, sometimes the relationships don't end in harmony, but they do get dissolved. And the way to dissolve that is to not make assumptions. Also, in the assumptions, in being able to get clarity, is to be able to hold your poise. I just want to kind of talk about what's happening in my personal life a little bit, just to give you guys an idea. And I've talked about this before in my live videos, but so you don't have to go trying to figure out where this one is. I will re-talk about this in terms of arguments. We get into arguments with people, right? And when we do, typically we want to be the winner of the argument, or the whatever it is that's going on. So we will impress, or we will put our own personal, good morning Rick, feelings on, or place them on the other person. So we take it personally, right? We take it personally, and then we start to engage in a heated conversation. Now, when you are heated, when you are upset, when you're in an argument with somebody or feeling frustrated or angry, that is called fire energy. It is not necessarily the divine will, but it is the divine will. And I've talked about the duality and try to sort of map that out for you at one point. Those who have followed me forever understand within the duality is the wholeness. The wholeness means that we can bridge the two gaps of what we think are different and find that they are not, that they're exactly the same. How we direct the energy is what's different. How we engage that energy is what's different. So when fire energy shows up, and let's say it's a heated discussion, an argument, something that's going on, something that's not good, and you engage in that fire energy, and you're adding more fire to, the furnace, or you're adding, let's just say, more wood to the fire, you can start to trigger out emotions that are deeply rooted that can then do harm to others. So what do I mean? Example, my own personal life. Yesterday, there was some heated moments, right, with people. Good morning, Martin. Happy coffee. There was an argument that was going on, okay? And the argument on one end was someone very furious and very fire energy coming directly, right? Not at me, but at, people in the household. I drop into neutral with this stuff because why? When I drop into neutral, I'm able to dissolve the issue. If not, and if I get engaged, it can end up in a catastrophe, in a disaster. But because I understand how to utilize energy and diffuse, okay, this is the big kicker. How do we diffuse it? Right? And I'm going to give you some ways in which you can engage it so that you can diffuse any argument, anything that's going on when it comes to fire energy conflict, or the shadow side of the fire energy, I should say. So fire energy showing up in the space. What do I mean? I mean anger, frustration. I mean yelling. I mean pointing fingers, getting heated, right? Someone getting heated. So there was a lot of that happening. And the heated people are participants or characters in this story. One was older, a lot bigger, and very angry and upset. The other one was a younger person and not as big as this big person, and just younger, a lot younger, like 3 times younger. So in this heated discussion, the smaller, younger one kept throwing logs on the fire, like fueling the fire. Like, in other words, I'm getting hot here. So in other words, they were yelling back or, getting upset back. And I'm sitting there saying, shh, don't say anything. Okay? Don't say anything. Why not say anything? Here's the deal. When someone shows up angry, frustrated, mad in your space, and you come back with the same energy, all you're doing is triggering more of that energy. That more of that energy can lead to fights, can lead to physical harm. So what happened is the younger one was fueling that fire in the bigger person. Now, this bigger person was giving over their emotions to this younger person or to the other person, right? How did I know that they were giving up their powers? Because when someone gets so irate that they have to yell louder, bigger, bolder, and then start to lash out in physical form, that means that that person's triggered them to the point that they will actually go out and do physical harm. Now, we as humans don't even realize this, but we're so fragile. People are like, oh, it takes me forever to get mad. But if someone knew your right triggers, someone knew exactly what to do to piss you off, and they did it, you can really change. And you can even lash out and do things that you never thought you would do. Okay, it's just think of it as a situation where perhaps you're protecting someone, right? You just natural instincts show up. These are our primal instincts. They're primal. They're part of who we are. It is who we are. Learning how to be with that and to not control it necessarily, but to choose from a different place, to utilize that energy in a different way, to diffuse a situation rather than to add logs to the fire to the situation, is by simply shutting up. Talked about this before. Shut up. When an angry person is coming at you. Now, I'm not talking about someone who harms you physically. If someone hits you, you have the right to defend yourself. But when you're arguing with somebody, all you're doing is trying to prove you're right. You just want to be right about this thing. And sometimes being right about that triggers the person so much because they feel like they can't be heard or that they're not right, that they will physically harm you, or they will physically do something to harm something, like punching tables, punching walls, throwing things, acting like a crazy person. Now, you don't have to get to that point. It doesn't have to get to that point. That takes discipline from you as the person of this great work, or the person that's living into these things, is to remain silent. Step into neutral. What does neutral feel like? I have to learn to shut up and walk away. Let's see. I add fuel to the fire with my big mouth. Then later I think, why did I do that? Thanks for sharing, Betty. I think we all do, right? We all have that tendency to do this. Good morning, Amy. I don't know if you're still on here. Good morning, Natara. But we do, right? And we don't walk away or we don't be quiet, right? And I'm training, I should say training, but I am an individual in my particular family to leave the legacy that I'm leaving, to understand this wisdom that I carry so that they can be successful in life, so that they can carry on the wisdom in their life. So my natural reaction was, yeah, I'm upset with you for the way that you're treating this person, but I'm not going to add to the fire. So what do? I sit there in silence. When I'm able to engage, I don't engage from the from my fire energy, from my anger. I engage from seeking understanding, a place of neutrality. My voice doesn't feel triggered. Now, this is hard because we take shit personal. That's why this book is telling you, don't take it personal. So I sat there and I told this individual, one individual said some very nasty words to the other person, okay? And I told the other person, shh, don't say nothing. Shh. Good morning, Antonio. Don't say anything. And you have the opportunity not to take that personally. Why would you take that personally? Is that who you are? No. Okay. Let it roll off your shoulders. Allow yourself to let it go. But we typically will not do that. Typically what we want to do is say, I'm not that person. And then you become that person because you want to defend that you're not that person. So remain silent. I said, stop. All you're doing is igniting the flames in this person. Now you already have control of their emotions. If you didn't, they wouldn't be lashing out and physically lashing out. Because as within, so without, and people will lash out the internal into the external. So we trigger those things in someone, and then someone doesn't know what else to do because their anger doesn't have anywhere else to go. So they let it out in the physical world through harming themselves, harming others, whatever it is. Now we can diffuse it. We remain silent and listen. When someone, it's just the most interesting thing, okay? And I've had people unfriend me for this. I have people still don't talk to me for this because I had gotten into sort of well, I didn't get into anything really. There was people angry at me, okay? And I wanted to know why. Why don't you like me? What did I do? At least give me feedback. If you don't like me, that's fine. I'm not asking you to be my best friend. I'm not asking you to come hang out with me. You don't have to. By no means. I'm going to love you no matter what. So, but I need the feedback. I need to kind of understand what's going on. Why? Why don't you like me? Is there something that I can be a better human being? Did I do something you maybe I didn't know? I'd like the opportunity to apologize, right? So, they really, I don't know that they had any real reason to be mad, but they did actually listen to my live podcast because I will talk about real life situations. No names. I'm not here to call people out. I'm here to teach that real life happens. So the day after the confrontation, I did tell people what I did in the situation to teach people to utilize the work. And I did exactly that. And they got really upset because it worked. And they were pissed because they're like, well, of course it worked. Do you think I'm going to argue with somebody who's never going to see my side? No. Why am I going to waste my energy? I'm not going to. Why? Because I have other important things to do with my life than to sit there and make people comprehend and believe what I have to say. No, if you don't believe me, cool. You can say I'm full of shit, cool. I'm not going to take it personally. And I'm not going to make assumptions. I will ask questions. Good morning, Raman. So what did I do? I said, okay, remain silent while this person was giving me quote unquote feedback of who I am. Okay. So I said, okay, here we go. I said, so could you please give me feedback? They start going on, start saying stuff, and I go, okay, I hear you. I'm listening. just keep going. And then they were getting upset. And then before you know it, they were yelling. Well, here's the deal. I said my piece and it upset them. And I was like, and they started yelling. And did I go back and yell at them? No. I just stood there quiet, let them go on and 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 on. And as they continued to go on and on and on and on, they started to hear what they were saying. Most people that are upset, most people that are pissed off, most people that are angry don't realize what they're saying. It's just a bunch of nonsense usually coming out because they're pissed, they're angry. They're not really taking the time to think about what it is that's triggering that anger. They're just lashing out and trying to make you wrong so that they can just put that poison in on you. You can accept it or not accept it. And this is where these principles of don't take it personally and what never make assumptions comes in. Let the person talk. After a while, they start to realize they sound crazy. I guarantee it. And that was the thing that I said that pissed them off, because in the reality is they probably felt like that was true. Was it wrong? Was I trying to say they were wrong for doing that? No, I was simply pointing it out. I get angry. I do dumb things, and I can accept that. People who can't accept their flaws will leave this place, right? Because this platform is not about pretending we don't have flaws. It's recognizing them and living with them and understanding how to maneuver through them, not denying that we're that way. So in this person's mind, maybe they were thinking, oh, I'm not like that. Well, yes, you are. We all are. Good morning, Kay. I've done it too. It wasn't a judgment. It was an observation. It was a report out of the facts. That's all it was. The way that they took it was their own problem. It wasn't my problem. I wasn't upset with them. They were upset with me. So I'm sorry. Whatever I did, I apologize. Okay. But I remained silent. And in the silence and in their recognition of what was going on in their brain and their ability to start to listen to what they were saying. And that's why we remained silent, because really it becomes two crazy people acting like a bunch of crazy people. And at the end of the day, it's all nonsense. And it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger until somebody's ego wins, or their separation, or like something physical happens to the person. That's what happens in those types of situations. So what do? Stay quiet. Gotta go. Have a spectacular day. You as well, Rick. Thank you for tuning in. And hopefully this will help you in conflict resolution. Remain silent. So yesterday when I was in this situation, the topic is never make assumptions. Reading from the 4 agreements of Don Miguel Ruiz's 4 agreements. And I hope you're still on here, Ramen. And that's what we're talking about. And how to diffuse and not add logs to the fire in a heated argument, because it's never going to do either one of you good. As the person showing up to listen to this work, it becomes your responsibility. So you can either take that or not. Totally up to you. I told the other person, okay, just stop. Just stay quiet. Not because your voice doesn't matter. Not because what you have to say isn't relevant. It's because right now, if you try to speak, this other person's never going to hear what you have to say, one, because they're so heated, they're so angry, and they so want to be self-righteous, just like you do. They're not going to pick it up, and all you're doing is over exemplifying the energy, the fire energy, the anger, the frustration in this individual. And now it's going to become a physical thing. We don't want to get to that point. It is our responsibility, since we do show up to Spirit and Coffee, to look at those situations and then learn to utilize and practice this. Now, would I say do it? Would I say do this? Good morning. Would I say to do this if I didn't do it? No. I practice what I preach. So I practice it. I remained silent the whole time until I had to interject. And when I interject, it was to diffuse, not to add to the fire. So simply calling out the facts. Like right now, you're allowing this individual to really do this to you. Are you okay with that? You know that your emotions right now are on blast. Is there a need for you to be physically crazy about this right now? Think about it. Is it really that serious? No, it's not. They start to think and contemplate, oh, yeah, maybe it's not that serious. But then you want to add more logs to the fire. It's going to get bigger, 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 bigger. And that's not what we're looking for here. Unless you like to be in those kind of situations. I'm not going to judge. Go for it. So standing in the neutrality, not making assumptions, allowing the other person to communicate fully and let it out and listen to their own dialogue in their head, they start to realize that they're a little bit crazy, because we all are, just a little bit. That diffuses the situation. Sometimes people will even apologize to you because they know. And sometimes you will apologize to others if this is you. If someone is there and you're yelling at and they're just remaining silent and they're letting you go and just looking at you like, okay, keep going. What else you got to say? And they start to see and recognize, right? You start to, oh, shoot. Then you might be the one to say, I'm sorry. Now I'm just talking nonsense and I know it. That you can't get to that point unless you actually remain silent and you allow that person to get out the energy. Do you need to absorb the energy? No. When you start to fight with them, when you start to argue with them, you are actually seeping in the poison into yourself. You're taking that poison on. You're not standing in neutral. Neutral allows us to deflect the poison that people are trying to spew. It's sort of a protection layer for us because we're not putting it into our subconscious mind or our force field. If we are getting triggered by things like that, then we need to ask ourselves, because here's the big thing. Why am I letting this trigger me? Why am I getting so upset about this? What has me reacting in this way because that person said this, that, the other? When we know that, when we understand that, we don't have to get upset with this person because we realize it's not the other person. We're simply taking on that energy, relating it to something that may have had in the past. So we're attaching it to something in the past. And as we attach it to that something in the past, we spiral down into the darkness or we spiral down into the craziness, right? The fire. And then we spew it back like a dragon. Oh, you're not going to hurt me because I know what that was like before and I can stick up for myself. Sometimes the best defense is silence. Not an easy one. None of this is easy. None of these practices are easy. If they were easy, I would have done spirit and coffee for one day of my life and then it would have been done. But we talk about the same things over and over. Why? Because we continually have to practice it. It doesn't stop. It's not like it stops tomorrow. It's not like, oh, yes, all of a sudden I had this epiphany. I'm illuminated and now for the rest of my life I'm illuminated. That's not how it works. An illuminated soul is just someone who stands in awareness and knows how to transmute or practice how to shift the energy that arises in any given moment. So right now, in this particular moment, you feel a certain way. Everybody is. If you are breathing, you are existing, you're feeling something. Your body is vibrating in some frequency at this very moment. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you're wide awake. Maybe you're, I don't know, don't feel good. Maybe you have chronic pain, or maybe you feel fantastic, or maybe you are excited. You know, there's all these emotions and everybody's feeling them. The trick is, while you're experiencing those, how do you utilize that energy? That is our potential. That's our potential. Now, you can entangle your time using your energy arguing with people that you're never going to get anywhere with, and then allowing yourself to endure that poison that they're giving you and allow yourself to believe that poison, or you can just let it go. You can stand in neutrality, recognize it's not your stuff, know that you're not going to take the poison on, know that you're going to walk away, and know that you're going to be like, okay, I need to figure out why this made me so upset. It's harder to do that. The things that are most important are the hardest things to do. They really are. So there's a lot of hard things in this world. They're only hard to do because we have to continue to practice them. Eventually, they become a habit and they become automatic. That takes time. That doesn't happen overnight. I've been doing this my whole life and I still practice. I can't step out of the practice. In fact, I'm so committed to the practice, it's almost ridiculous. I don't even know how to be out of practice. Let's just put it that way. Okay, so there you go. Diffuse that fire or not. It's going to give you results either way. I'm just trying to get you the results that are a lot less painful and allow you to find your peace and balance again. The raw truth. No candy coating it here. Not, oh, and then this and that. Nope. Guess what? You've got to do the work because I can't do it for you. Yay to that. All right. So I will let you go just so you know I have some more exciting news for Spirit and Coffee. Just did we're going to kind of be doing a little bit of a redesign, not a huge one. You may not notice the huge difference, but we've got some new improved Spirit and Coffee coming out. And then the next phase of Spirit and Coffee is a website, which will be happening soon. So I'm super excited. I told you guys slowly but surely will be happening. Also, Life Boost Coffee is, I'm an affiliate of it. So if you guys want to order their coffee, you can totally order their coffee. Would be amazing. And I love it. It's so, so good. The acidity's low and the caffeine's low. So I can feel myself sort of detoxing from maybe all of the caffeine that I'm drinking. Don't want to be fully dependent on caffeine to survive. But I love my coffee and I'm not giving it up. Okay. So one thing I will not, I get to have a vice. I don't drink. I don't do anything else, but I love my coffee. Okay. So I love you guys. Have the most magical, magnificent, marvelous day, Monday ever. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay. Bye.